learning to read and being proficient in mathematics, they are parallel. And once we realize this parallel aspect of both of them, it becomes as easy to learn mathematics as children acquire how to read proficiently, fluently, with understanding. To read, to become proficient in reading, a child must have 5 skills, or 5 elements must be present. Number 1, he or she must know his or her alphabets really well. Number 2, the child must have acquired a good sight vocabulary. As a matter of fact, if there are about 75 sight words a child has acquired around age 5 or end of kindergarten, that child is quite well prepared to read even more complex words. After sight words, the child must have phonemic awareness. That means the fundamental elements of sound, of breaking the word. When the child has good sight vocabulary, phonemic awareness, he or she acquires the word attack skills. That means breaking a word into its components and then putting it together. That means chunking and blending, chunking and blending. When he sees a new word, chunk it into smaller pieces and then put it together. So these 4 elements are basic: alphabets, good sight vocabulary, phonemic awareness, and chunking and blending. Actually, chunking and blending is dependent on having sight vocabulary and the phonemic awareness. The 5th element is even more important, and that is a sympathetic, knowledgeable adult who practices these 4 skills with the child. And with practice and experience, the child becomes a proficient reader. These 5 elements are present in learning number concept also. In number concept, acquiring the ability to become fluent in arithmetic facts and later on mathematical thinking, the 5 things are: number 1, the child must know his or her mathematics alphabet, which means 10 numbers. Actually, they're simpler. 10 numbers only, and there we had 26 lowercase and 26 uppercase. So to know those 10 numbers inside out. Number 2, the child must have a good sight facts mastery. Now, what do I mean by sight facts? Well, sight words are acquired by a child by just exposure, by seeing the words, and then they begin to see them again and again, and they're able to recognize them. Similarly, there is a sight fact. For example, if I take a number, a cluster of objects, if I look at this number, in the initial stage, we actually count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But after a while, we say, oh yeah, there's a 3, there's a 3, there's a 1, there's a 5, there is a 4. And by doing this, we are beginning to see, oh, the 3 and 4 is 7, 6 and 1 is 7, 5 and 2 is 7. This awareness that by looking at the number, I'm able to say that it is made up of 2 other numbers. For example, if I look at the 6, 3 and 3 is 6. Actually, 4 and 2 is 6. That is called a sight fact. Every number has a certain number of sight facts. When these sight facts are mastered, it is much easier to master other arithmetic facts. So the second element is to master 45 sight facts. Luckily, there are only 45 sight facts, and they must be mastered by the end of kindergarten. Now notice when I was looking at the number, I broke this number into 3 and 3 or 4 and 2. This process is parallel to phonemic awareness. This is called decomposition, recomposition. In other words, looking at a cluster and then break that cluster into subclusters. I see this 3 as a cluster of objects, and after a while, seeing it several times, I'm able to recognize that's 3. And then I say, oh, there's a 2 and there's a 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. Notice I'm not counting. This is taking place by just observing it, by just seeing it. This is called Decomposition, that means breaking the cluster into smaller components. Recomposition, that means 1 plus 2 is 3. If I look at this number here, now initially the child will definitely count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But then after a while say, oh, that is like the 8 I already know. So 8 plus 1 is 9. Oh, that looks like 7, which I already know. So 7 plus 2 is 9. Oh, that looks like a 5, and 4 is 9. You see this decomposition. We are breaking this larger cluster into subclusters. 5 cluster, 4 cluster, 8 cluster, 1 cluster, 7 cluster, 2 cluster, 6 cluster, 3 clusters, and so on. And those are side effects, but they are derived by decomposing the larger cluster into smaller clusters. This decomposition, recomposition is parallel to phonemic awareness. What role phonemic awareness plays in reading, decomposition, recomposition plays in mathematics. When we have those 45 side facts, decomposition, recomposition, we can do any fact. As a matter of fact, we can derive any fact. I want to find out 8 plus 6. Oh, I wish I had 2 from the 6. I give it to 8, that becomes 10, and 10 and 4 is 14. Or, here is the 6, and there is an 8 there, so I take a 4 from the 8, give it to 6, that's 10, and 4 is 14. We are applying the side fact mastery, the decomposition, recomposition, to create 8 plus 6 equals 14. This is parallel to what we call the word attack skills. I want to add 68 plus 6. Oh, 2 more is 70. And then 4 are left in 6. And therefore, 68 plus 6 is 74. That is using the side fact mastery and the decomposition, recomposition, and we are able to derive any facts. When these 4 skills are there, knowing the 10 numbers, 45 side facts, decomposition, recomposition, and applying that together to take larger numbers and derive an arithmetic fact, we have all the skills we need to master number sense. But we need the 5th element, just like in reading, a sympathetic, knowledgeable adult who practices these 4 skills. More of those we practice, more confident we become in number concept. And when we have this number concept, we can extend it for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So learning to read and mastery of number concept, they are parallel in them.